Sitting on the west bank of the Hudson River is Union City, New Jersey, a thriving, prosperous community rich in culture and history. The city sits atop the Palisades, almost at the mouth or entrance to the Lincoln Tunnel. It is the gateway to and from the capital of the world, New York City. Located 15 minutes from the heart of Times Square. Consolidated of two small communities in 1925, it is an incredibly unique city. Its history is both rich and proud and full of many important contributions to the nation. Union City is both residential and industrial. The smaller buildings are slowly being replaced by the larger and multiple type dwellings. However, it still maintains its small town feeling. Light industry and manufacturing once flourished in Union City. This, of course, is due to its closeness and accessibility to New York City, its harbor, airports, and railroads. This mile-long city distinguishes itself from all its neighbors by its many unique and interesting characteristics. Union City was world-renowned for its development and progress in the textile and embroidery fields, especially the Shifley embroidery techniques, earning itself the recognition of the embroidery capital of the world.
We were a big embroidery factory town at one time. In fact, I myself worked in the embroidery factory for a year as a watcher.
It paid well, it was good living, it was good hours. Embroidery was on every corner. You couldn't live in Union City and not know anything but not work in embroidery. Everybody that lived here worked in embroidery.
Subsequently, it became known as the burlesque capital of the world, and towards the end of the 20th century, the most densely populated city in the United States. Its main thoroughfare, Bergenline Avenue, is known as the Miracle Mile, the longest stretch of commercial storefronts in the United States.
Bergenline Avenue, and also not only Bergenline, but Summit Avenue was the place to go. If you wanted to go to Summit Avenue, you went to Summit Pizza, you went to the Purity Restaurant, you went to Paul Servo. If you went to Bergenline Avenue, I remember going to Davis Toys on 32nd Street as a kid, Bargain Boys, also going to Termini's Pizza over the years. That was the place to go. My mother's place where we went shopping wasn't a mall, wasn't leaving Union City. Everything was done in Union City. We did all our shopping on Bergenline. And later on as a kid, when I got my car, the thing to do would to be drive down Bergenline Avenue from 49th Street all the way down and then repeat it again and again on a Saturday. I think we tied into why there was so much traffic in the city.
In the late 20th century, many began calling the area Havana on the Hudson, due to the many Cubans that had settled in the city beginning in 1949. By the beginning of the 21st century, Union City had experienced many changes. Burlesque had disappeared, so had many of the city's theaters. The embroidery industry had also vanished, but Bergenline Avenue continued to thrive, welcoming thousands of new immigrants. The city's schools flourished, and there was a renowned vigor in building new parks and upgrading all infrastructure. The original inhabitants of the area where Union City is now situated were the Native Americans. An Algonquin group, the Munsee-speaking branch of the Lenape, wandered the vast area of woodlands Henry Hudson encountered during his voyage of exploration, 1609 to 1610, in service of the Dutch. Of the many European countries colonizing North America, the Dutch claimed this area, which would include the future New York City, and named it New Netherlands. Peter Stuyvesant, the governor of New Netherlands, purchased the part of land that would one day become Hudson County from the Hackensack branch of the Lenape in 1658. The relationship between the early Dutch settlers and the Native Americans was an uneasy one. Disputes over property and land claims frequently led to skirmishes and war between the two groups. In seeking a way to protect the defenseless farmhouses in the newly acquired area, Peter Stuyvesant in 1660 ordered the building of a fortified village. The village known as Bergen was the first permanent settlement in New Jersey, now Jersey City. In 1664, the English captured New Netherlands from the Dutch. At that time, the boundaries of Bergen Township encompassed the area we know as Hudson County. To the north of Bergen Village was a largely unpopulated area known as Bergen Woods that would slowly be claimed by the settlers. Some streets in Union City still retain the names of early settlers. Yet the area that would one day become Union City remained sparsely inhabited until the early part of the 19th century. In 1840, the New Jersey state legislature created Hudson County. Union Township was created in 1861. From it developed the town of West Hoboken in 1861 and the town of Union in 1864. The northern section of Union Township was finally incorporated as the town of West New York in 1898. The southern became Union Hill. West Hoboken and Union Hill grew as two separate towns for 60 years, until in 1925 it became the city of Union City. From these two towns, the city derives a rich heritage of cultural diversity that continues to this day.
Union City is renowned for being a welcoming city. From the Armenians, the Germans, the Italians, the Irish to the Hispanics, all are welcome here.
From the earliest Dutch, English, and French settlers, a steady stream of immigrant groups would come to live in Union City. In 1851, Germans began to settle the area that would become known as Union Hill. The progression of immigrants would continue throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries.
According to the most recent census, the population of Union City is 65,000 to 70,000 people. Now, out of that population, 95% is Hispanic. And out of that 95% Hispanic population, 68% are of Cuban descent.
Today, that same cultural diversity can be seen throughout Union City, especially in the stores and restaurants along Bergenline Avenue. Various nationalities are represented, but dominated mostly by people from Central and South America and the Caribbean.
I think the residents of Union City set the model in the country for how to get along with each other, with ethnic background, religious background. I always say we may not be rich in finances in Union City, but we're rich in culture. And I think that's our strongest attribute that we have in Union City, is how well everyone gets along. I mean, you look in Union City right now, you have a mosque on 47th Street, you have a temple synagogue on 34th Street where the Hasidic Jews are. You got so many other different, whether they're Catholic, Protestant, Episcopalian, everyone gets along so well. And when one group needs help or one person needs help, it doesn't matter what the ethnic background is, what the religious background is. We come together as a community. That makes me proud, not only to be the mayor, but to be a resident of Union City and see that firsthand.
Beginning in 1949 and the early 1950s, Cubans began to settle in Union City. Many found work in factories and embroidery mills. By the early 1960s, when it became clear that Castro had embraced communism, the trickle of Cuban immigration became a flood of Cuba's middle and upper class. They quickly assimilated with American society, helping revitalize the local business areas such as Bergenline Avenue. As the Cubans were mostly well-educated professionals, Cuban Americans became very influential in the social and political landscape of the city.
By 1959 in Union City, the Cubans opened the Cuban Lyceum on 22nd Street and West, the corner of West Street in Union City. Being that they had so many members, they bought a bigger property in 1972 and moved it to Cottage Place on 47th Street in Union City.
Cuban botanicas and handmade cigar shops spread throughout the city. Their many contributions are displayed in places such as the famous Jose Marti Park, renowned for its many domino tournaments. The Celia Cruz Park, dedicated in 2004 in honor of the legendary entertainer, where every spring notables from the entertainment industry are recognized with a star in what has become Union City's Walk of Fame. Jose Marti Freshman Academy opened in 2005 and serves as one of the city's cultural centers. Union City takes pride in all its houses of worship and the many religions they represent. Many of the churches are more than 100 years old and are admired for their architectural beauty. St. Michael's Monastery Church is perhaps the most notable. The Passionists, a Catholic religious community led by Father John Dominic Taralantini, founded the church and monastery on 20 acres of land in what was known as Kerrigan's Woods, purchased from James Kerrigan. Its cornerstone was laid in 1869, and the great church of St. Michael's was completed in 1875. Men from all over the world would come to the monastery to become priests. The church was designed by prominent architect Patrick C. Keeley in a loose interpretation of both Gothic and Romanesque revival styles. The octagonal dome piercing the sky dominated the Jersey skyline and was clearly visible from New York City, as were the towers of the Sign Office Building built in 1925, which housed the editorial and business offices of the National Catholic magazine published by the Passionist Fathers. Tragically, on May 31st, 1934, St. Michael's Church was engulfed in fire. The church was rebuilt and rededicated on September 29, 1936. The church closed in 1981 and sold in 1984.
It was sad to see what happened at the monastery. I know it became an issue not only in the religious community, but even in the political community. Years before I became involved in Union City, how the monastery went back and forth. It's a shame to see the church in the condition it's in today. Hopefully in the future, the monastery will go back in some way to being preserved as a cultural destination for Union City, and maybe the city could even play a role in that.
It now belongs to the Hudson Presbyterian Church. The monastery is long gone. The property is now public housing, the St. Michael's Walk condos, the Jose Marti Freshman Academy, the Union City Public Library, 18th Street branch, and the Midtown Athletic Complex. Monastery of the Perpetual Rosary was erected in 1912 to 1914 and referred to by its residents as the Blue Chapel, because of its glowing bluestone masonry walls and cool-tinted stained glass memorial windows. On December 21, 1891, the first community of the Dominican Sisters of the Perpetual Rosary was founded in West Hoboken. The original 4 Sisters of the Perpetual Rosary arrived from France and were met by the founder of their cloistered order, Father Damien Marie Santorens. Here the nuns would follow a disciplined routine of household chores and prayer, based on a schedule known as the Liturgy of the Hours, praying for those who do not pray. From this first American monastery of the Perpetual Rosary, 21 others throughout the nation would rise. The last residents of the chapel were Sister Mary Gemma Tricillo and Sister Catherine Carol Marie. While the monastery was well maintained for many decades, the facility's finances eventually dwindled. As a result, the building began to deteriorate. Due to mounting maintenance costs and the building's lack of heat, the nuns vacated the building during the summer of 2009. In 2010, the City of Union City passed a resolution authorizing the preservation of the Monastery of the Perpetual Rosary as a state and national historic site. It is currently owned by a private developer. One of the most prominent names in the history and development of West Hoboken and Union Hill is that of the Cranwell family.
Well, the Cranwell builders were George and James. That was the company. It was George and son, Cranwell. They were mostly masons. They built mostly with brick and mortar, which is why these buildings are still standing. They were built so well. And they had, my great-great-grandfather had a level of perfection. Things had to be perfect for him. And they had to be perfect to where they had to last a long, long time. So he knew, I guess, or I assume in his mind, he was building for the ages, and apparently he was, because these buildings are still here.
Arriving from Ireland in 1857, George Cranwell founded a construction firm and became one of the most prolific and respected building contractors in what would become the city of Union City. Joined by his son James, the firm of George Cranwell and Son erected many of the most notable buildings in the city. Many of these buildings still stand today and are a testament to the hard-working immigrant family that attained the American dream of success. Some of the structures erected by the firm of George Cranwell and Son are the Union City Town Hall, Union Hill Middle School, formerly Union Hill High School, Hudson Elementary School, parts of the St. Michael's Monastery, and the Carnegie-endowed West Hoboken Free Public Library, now the William V. Musto Cultural Center. It is of special note that the direct descendants of George and James Cranwell, after many generations, still reside in Union City, a city built in part by their family.
So those buildings have been here a long time, and it makes me feel that the roots in this community from the Cranwell family are strong and deep and lasting. And if they've lasted so many years, they're definitely going to last many years more.
In the early 1900s, Andrew Carnegie endowed 2 libraries in Union City, the West Hoboken Free Public Library located at 420 15th Street and the Union Hill Free Public Library located at 324 43rd Street. In 2005, another branch opened adjacent to the Jose Marti Freshman Academy on 18th Street, replacing the 15th Street branch. On June 11, 2011, the historic 15th Street branch received major renovations and was rededicated as the William V. Musto Cultural Center, housing museums, art galleries, a concert hall, and rooms for community activities. The construction of Union City's iconic Roosevelt Stadium began on December 10, 1935. It was one of New Jersey's outstanding examples of WPA Art Deco-style architecture. The structure was designed by Mankin and Schultz, a local architectural firm. Laborers worked steadily until its completion and dedication on November 12, 1937. It cost $687,000 and had a seating capacity for 10,000 persons. The sports mecca for all of North Hudson County was erected on the site what was another Union City landmark, the Hudson County Consumers Brewing Company. In its heyday, Roosevelt Stadium was a venue not only for high school sports, it also hosted semi-pro baseball and football games, field and track meets, soccer games, professional wrestling matches, and professional boxing. NFL football players Lou Corteleone and Frank Winters both played high school football at Roosevelt Stadium, as well as Emerson High School Hall of Fame great Joseph Pep Novotny. For years, Roosevelt Stadium hosted concerts, carnivals, and the annual Union City 4th of July celebration and fireworks display. However, its greatest claim to fame was being the home for the annual Emerson Union Hill Thanksgiving Day Turkey Game Classic and the first sporting event played at the new stadium Thanksgiving Day, 1937.
I worked on a truck that went around and sold vegetables throughout the city. That time we had vegetables, and we sold fish on Friday from a wagon, and some of them went around with horses and wagons. That's how old we are. But on Thanksgiving we stopped at 11 o'clock, and I was only a kid of, I guess, 12, 13, and the owner would go to the ball game, and he would leave me, and I'd have to sneak in. But I did sneak in.
That was the game, the turkey game, the Thanksgiving game.
On Thanksgiving Day, they had to put wooden bleachers in this field. We would get 8,000 to 10,000 people at the Turkey Day game.
The Turkey Game was first played in 1919 at different football fields all over Hudson County when the high school served the neighboring towns of West Hoboken and Union Hill. The Turkey Game attracted as many as 15,000 fans in the 1930s and 1940s. A wooden chariot would roll around the field at halftime, carrying a football king and queen from the defending school who would be booed and pelted with paper when they reached the other side. For 88 years, the Turkey Game, the fourth oldest public school rivalry in the state of New Jersey, was the most enduring tradition in Union City.
There was an end, somebody lost, somebody won, but there was respect both ways. And we just, from there, left, went on, had our Thanksgiving dinners, and we knew we were experiencing something special. And it was just something where Union City, one half, and Union City, the other half, had a football game against each other, and at the end, it's still Union City.
In 2007, the final game, The Last Dance, was played due to the merger of the two high schools to form Union City High School. The game was played at the Union City Midtown Athletic Complex and won by Union Hill 20-8, to incredibly end the career series in a dead heat. 40 wins for Emerson, 40 wins for Union Hill, 9 ties. The importance and emotional attachment to the game by current and former residents of Union City and most of Hudson County cannot be overlooked. For most residents, Thanksgiving morning meant one thing: the Emerson versus Union Hill football game. Many felt a sense of sadness. It was the end of an era. The historic school rivalry was the last reminder of when Union City was two separate towns. According to a resident, if you crossed the Route 495 overpass, you knew Union Hill was north and Emerson was south, and you respected the boundary. It was the natural state of things.
In high school, it was always something important to go to. We miss the rivalry right now between the two high schools, being that we only have one high school today. Union Hill and Emerson was always the rivalry. Maybe someday in the future, Union City will pick that up again and we'll pick up a rival that we could play on Thanksgiving Day. I know a lot of high schools have gotten away from that. But that was like going to an NFL game. Going to the turkey game was the equivalent of going to a pro football game.
Union City is the home to many beautiful parks and public spaces for all its residents to enjoy. Perhaps the most historically noteworthy is one of the city's oldest, Ellsworth Park. In the mid-19th century, a section of land in West Hoboken was known as the Commons. During the Civil War, Union soldiers trained at Camp Yates from 1861 to 1864 in West Hoboken. The campsite was located at the Commons. One of the soldiers was Lieutenant Colonel Louis A. Thoreau. His grandson, Harry J. Thoreau, would later serve as mayor of Union City from 1939 to 1962. In 1883, the Civil War Veterans Society, Ellsworth Post 14, was organized and chartered. They chose the name Ellsworth to honor Colonel Elmer Ellsworth, a Union officer and friend of President Abraham Lincoln, best known as one of the first officers who was killed in the Civil War. As a town park was being created on the part of land that was once Camp Yates, the park would eventually be named Ellsworth Park. Under the administration of Mayor Brian P. Stack and the Board of Commissioners, the building of new parks and public plazas and the improvement of the existing parks has been a top priority. Firefighters Memorial Park is located on Palisade Avenue and 9th Street and overlooking the Palisades with a majestic view of New York City. Was dedicated in August 2009 and has an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Juan Pablo Duarte Park opened in 2004 on the site of the old Indian Pond Park on New York Avenue and 33rd Street. Its large wading pool and playgrounds make it a popular summertime stop for families, especially those with young children. Liberty Plaza, located at 30th Street and Palisade Avenue, is dedicated to the victims of the September 11, 2001 World Trade Center attacks. Police Memorial Park, located on the corner of 11th and West Streets, was inaugurated on May 5, 2016, honoring fallen Union City police officers. Both plazas offer residents open spaces for rest and contemplation. At Ellsworth Park alone, you may find the Fireman sculpture by artist Johann Sophus Galler, commemorating the West Hoboken Volunteer Fire Department. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument, erected to honor veterans of the Civil War. The World War I Monument, dedicated to the veterans of World War I. Columbus bust by artist Antonio Giacomentonio, dedicated to the Italian-American culture and their contributions to the building of Union City. General Antonio Maceo bust. Eugenio Maria de Hostos bust, and the General Maximo Gomez bust by artist Gunez Akseki. At War Memorial Plaza on 46th and Broadway is a tall obelisk honoring all U.S. veterans. At the Spanish-American War Memorial Plaza on 33rd and Palisade Avenue is the Monument to Soldiers, Sailors, and Marines by artist Archimedes A. Giacomentonio, dedicated on September 29, 1940, to the soldiers who fought in the Spanish-American War. While at Juan Pablo Duarte Park is the Gold Star Mothers Monument honoring the mothers whose children died defending the United States. One of the most prominent artists whose art still adorns the city is that of Enid Bell Palanchian. Born in 1904 in England, she created many sculptures for New Jersey public buildings under the Works Project Administration, WPA. Her sculpture titled Children Reading is located outside the Union City Free Public Library on 43rd and New York Avenue. Several other pieces are also displayed in the William V. Musto Cultural Center. Sitting in the heart of the city, Bergenline Avenue between 30th and 31st Streets is Plaza of the Arts, home to the stainless steel UC Art sculpture, unveiled in 2009, and the iron sculpture La Mujer, unveiled in 2010. Liberty Plaza, located near Palisade Avenue and 30th Street, has two 9/11 monuments dedicated to all those who perished during the September 11, 2001 World Trade Center terrorist attacks. The first is made of marble and of a section of beam from the remains of the World Trade Center. The second memorial is comprised of two identical stainless steel towers lovingly built by Prudencio Lamagne, who lost his son, Port Authority police officer David P. Lamagne, in the attacks, and granite stone donated by Lieber Funeral Home. It is dedicated to those who perished from Union City. The Comfort Women Monument, donated by the Hudson Fine Arts Foundation, sits on the east side of Liberty Plaza. The monument is not just a memorial for comfort women during World War II, but also in support of human rights worldwide. The embroidery tree, designed by Amy Chung, was originally unveiled at the First Lady Luncheon in 2012 at the Pierre Hotel in New York City. It is prominently displayed at Embroidery Plaza, inaugurated in 2014, located on New York Avenue between 30th and 31st Streets. The embryo and the Mima, designed by L. Fernandez, are also on display. The Union City mural project by the Fortul brothers was unveiled on September 3, 2015, on the walls of the old trolley barn along 29th Street from Bergenline to New York Avenue. The Call of Duty monument, designed by Barodin Studios and dedicated to fallen police officers from Union City, is found at Police Memorial Park, located on the corner of 11th and West Streets. Union City has been home to many renowned artists. William Tylee Rainey was the first major genre painter to work in New Jersey. In 1851, he settled in West Hoboken and resided at the Rainey Homestead on 12th Street and Palisade Avenue, where he created many of his most important works. Born in Denmark, Antonio Jacobsen immigrated to America and lived in West Hoboken. Jacobsen painted over 5,900 portraits of vessels, including freighters, steamers, and yachts. He usually signed his paintings A. Jacobsen or Antonio Jacobsen, along with his West Hoboken address. James Edward Buttersworth was born in England in 1817. He immigrated to the United States and settled in West Hoboken. Ranked among the top 19th century marine painters, he died in 1894. Andrew Melrose was born in Scotland in 1836. He arrived in the United States in 1856, lived first in New York City, and eventually settled in West Hoboken. Writers and poets have always found Union City to be a source of inspiration. W.S. Merwin grew up in Union City. Credited with over 50 books of poetry and prose, Merwin has received many honors, including the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry twice, the National Book Award for Poetry, and most significant, in 2010 he was named United States Poet Laureate. In 2006, W.S. Merwin returned to Union City for the unveiling of a street sign in his honor. It is located on the corner of 4th Street and Palisade Avenue, where his boyhood home was located. Pietro Di Donato was born in a tenement and raised on the streets of West Hoboken. He would go on to pen the classic novel Christ in Concrete in 1939. He never forgot his West Hoboken childhood and often relived it in short stories, articles, and his 1960 novel 3 Circles of Light. His writings paint a vivid and accurate vision of life in the city in the early 1900s. The entertainment and performing arts have always been an integral part of Union City. In fact, the city of Union City, once known as the burlesque capital of the world, was once home to over 25 theaters, including the sprawling Twin State and Capitol theaters, the Colony Theater, the Lincoln Theater, the Roosevelt Theater, and perhaps the most famous, the Hudson Theater. The Hudson Theater was one of the premier live entertainment venues of its day. The theater, designed by architect J.B. McElfatrick, was constructed circa 1907 by B.F. Keith, the father of American vaudeville, and his partner Edward F. Albee, at the corner of 38th Street and New York Avenue. Many legendary entertainers such as Fred Astaire, Harry Houdini, Phil Silvers, George Burns and Gracie Allen, Abbott and Costello, and Burt Law started out in vaudeville and performed at the Hudson Theater. In the 1930s, as vaudeville began to decline, the Hudson Theater became the Hudson Burlesque Theater, featuring provocative stage shows and slapstick humor. Among the performers were burlesque queens Joan Torino, Hope Diamond, Ann Corio, and comedians Joey DeRita and Lou Askell.
So many people from New York came that on Bergenline Avenue, I would say from 36th Street to 40th Street on the west side of Bergenline Avenue, a line of buses.
I was one of the opponents of it. I represented the church and the bishop to fight the burlesque in Union City. It was foolish when I got done because the burlesque was good for Union City.
The advent of television and competition from other entertainment mediums in the early 1950s caused a decline in business. But the end of the Hudson Burlesque Theater occurred in 1957 when Union City enacted a law banning striptease. The law was created at the urging of St. Augustine's Church and local residents. The Hudson Burlesque Theater closed on October 15, 1957, and was demolished soon after. Still functioning is the historic Park Theater. It was built in 1932 to house the local parish presentation of The Passion Play. The play or musical is the story of Christ's last days on earth, which has been performed in the parish since 1915. The equally renowned Passion Play, Veronica's Veil, debuted in 1914 at the St. Joseph's Parochial School Auditorium and played annually until 1999, when the school was rebuilt to become Veterans Memorial School. Veronica's Veil had been the longest-running Passion Play in the U.S. The distinction later passed on to the production at the Park Theater. The new Union City Performing Arts Center, a modern state-of-the-art 960-seat theater located in the newly constructed Union City High School, was inaugurated in 2009 and offers top-notch performances. Theater companies have always been a part of the landscape. The Performing Arts Center of Hudson County, founded by Eleanor A. McCourt Yashak, operated from 1967 to 1979 and was a haven for plays, musicals, and ballet. The Park Players, founded in 1983 by board members Anna Zadi Conklin, Joseph Conklin, and Patrick Noble, operated in Union City until they relocated out of town in 2003. They continue to produce 2 musicals per year under its current producer, John Fiorenza. The Grace Theater Workshop, Inc., a multi-award-winning company founded in 2000 by Lucio and Megan Fernandez, has produced many original works in Union City, as well as in New York City at venues such as Lincoln Center and Carnegie Hall. Other groups that have called Union City home for many years include the Hudson Exploited Theater Company and the Tapolay Dance Company. Union City has been the location for a number of feature and television movies, including the film Union City, starring Deborah Harry, Out of Darkness, Bloodhounds of Broadway, Far From Heaven, the cult art house independent film Vampire in Union City, The Death of April, and the documentary film Bahia de Cochinos Nuestra Perspectiva. Scores of short films have lensed in its streets. The city is also host to several internationally recognized film festivals, including the NoHo International Film Festival and the Hispanic International Film Festival of New Jersey. Union City is rich in its artistic history, and filmmaking has and continues to showcase the city to the world.
I always say we may not be rich in finances in Union City, but we're rich in culture.
Union City's artistic history and interesting facts are many. Frederick Rines, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics 1995 for the detection of the neutrino, attended Union Hill High School. Harry Houdini had a warehouse on 19th Street in Union City, where he stored props and often rehearsed. Actor Burt Lancaster worked as a singing waiter at the Torch Club in Union City before making it big in Hollywood. Deborah Harry of Blondie not only filmed the movie Union City in Union City, but also recorded a song entitled Union City Blue. She is said to have had rehearsed in Union City and even worked as a go-go dancer in a Union City club. Frank Sinatra, in his early days with the Hoboken Four, sang at venues in Union City, such as the Lincoln Theater. Joe Weider had a gym at 801 Palisade Avenue. Weider is credited for bringing Arnold Schwarzenegger to the United States in September of 1968 at the age of 21. Actor-singer Renalise Santiago, known for his appearances in such films as Dangerous Minds, Hackers, and Con Air, was born in Puerto Rico, but raised in Union City. Singer, songwriter, businessman, record producer, and actor Akon lived in Union City in his youth. Many renowned musical acts had their early beginnings in Union City, including Tony Orlando of Tony Orlando and Dawn. Richie Havens, who opened the Woodstock Festival in 1969, resided at the Doric and recorded at Kaleidoscope Studios in Union City. The merengue band Oro Solido, the international band La Charanga 76, the Moonlights, the extremely successful hard rock group Dragpipe, Papo Ortega's Cubano Song, and Latin fusion band Maxima Alerta. Spyro Gyra guitarist Julio Fernandez lived in Union City. The city has its own arts district, an official poet laureate Jorge Luis Seco, and a city historian Gerard Karabin. Union City has been home to many notable persons, including boxing champion Jeremiah Joe Jeanette, inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1997. Karate Grandmaster Peter G. Urban founded America's own karate system, American Go-Judo. American brewmaster and artist William Joseph Peter, American cartoon animator Joseph Joe Oriolo, known as the co-creator of Casper the Friendly Ghost and the creator of the Felix the Cat TV series. Renowned fashion designer Michele Savoia of House of Savoia was a master tailor, clothing, costume, and interior designer and FIT professor. He had many star clients and built costumes for several Broadway shows. Based at Pastori Music, luthier Ronaldo Orlandoni is a recognized name within the music industry for instrument repair, restoration, and for crafting custom guitars for such clients as Kiss, Blue Oyster Cult, and Spyro Gyra. Frederick Rines, a 1995 Nobel Peace Prize winner in the field of physics, world-renowned DJ and music producer Eric Murillo, and Emmy Award-winning television, film, and theater actor Robert Bobby Carnevale. In Union City, there is perhaps one man whose achievements and legacy will forever echo throughout the annals of its history: Mayor William Vincent Musto. William V. Musto, affectionately known by his friends and foes alike as Billy Musto, was born on March 27, 1917, and spent his entire life in Union City, except during World War II, when he served as an artillery officer under General George S. Patton in Europe, earning him a Bronze Star for his service.
Bill was a captain in General Patton's army in 1941, I think. And he was over there 3 years. First they sent him to Italy, and he served in Italy, and then they sent him up. He wasn't in the Battle of the Bulge, but he got there just after it ended. And they hadn't removed the bodies of all these young men. The bodies were all across the ground. And that was something that remained in his mind forever.
In 1962, he was elected mayor of Union City and elected to the New Jersey State Senate in 1965.
He just had an open-door policy in City Hall. I remember as a child writing a letter to him. I must have been about 9 years old. And I had a school project to write a letter to somebody of importance, and I wrote a letter to him. 3 days later, he called the house and wanted to speak to me. I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. Here's Mayor Musto. This guy's larger than life to me. Not only did I speak to him on the phone, I was in his office the next day at 3:30 after school with my father, getting to speak to him. He sat there with me for 2 hours talking to me. I really believe that was one of the major factors, besides my mom and dad, getting me involved in Union City in the political arena. I really believe that was Mayor Musto who was a big part of that.
In 1970, he lost the city election to Reform candidate William Meehan and Project 70, and did not return to the mayoral seat until 1974, retaining that position until 1982. During his term as mayor and state senator, William V. Musto was a pioneer of affirmative action and an advocate of women's rights.
He loved to help people. If he could help you, he would. Do whatever he could to help you.
He enjoyed being the mayor of Union City.
Musto was always there for the community. He was always out there. He was available to the residents. I remember times that my basement was flooded in my building. I was a child, 7 or 8 years old. My mother called Mayor Musto at midnight and was able to reach him where he could assist. At that time, Public Works ran the sewer system in the city, how he sent DPW workers down to assist during a major rainstorm to stop the flooding in the basement.
He was my hero from day one. When we got involved in fighting the burlesque, I became his ally, and he became a champion for fighting the burlesque and cleaning up transfer station, which he did. I mean, he did a terrific job.
If you were walking down the street and he spotted you, he'd call you by your first name. Okay? Not only that, if somebody was sick, he was there.
The only thing he knew was people. He knew people.
He was the driving force for creating the New Jersey State Lottery and for casino gambling in Atlantic City, funds which were used for education. He is also credited with revitalizing the New Jersey Meadowlands. In 1982, Musto's political career came to an end when, after a 5-month federal trial, he, along with 6 others, was convicted on federal racketeering charges in connection with a scheme to bilk federal school construction funds and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Despite his legal troubles, Musto continued his 1982 re-election campaign for the city commission, and on the day he was sentenced, Musto was re-elected mayor of Union City, defeating his protege, current U.S. Senator Robert Menendez. However, a series of court rulings later determined he could no longer hold office, and he was finally removed from City Hall. Musto appealed all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which declined to hear the case. On May 11, 1982, the day after his sentencing, the courts forced him from office. In August of 1982, his wife Rita won her husband's seat in a special election to replace her husband on the city commission. Although his career was tarnished, he had many admirers and people who did not judge him by one era, but instead by the entirety of his life. The lead prosecutor in the case against Musto stated, "The senator dedicated his life to public service for his community over many decades. Those good works over such a long period of time should be recognized." The sentencing judge said, "A lifetime of good is not wiped out by one wrong." Musto retired from the public eye following his release and continued to proclaim his innocence for the rest of his life. He died on February 27, 2006, at the age of 88 from complications of Alzheimer's disease. He will be forever remembered as the charismatic mayor of Union City and as the boss of one of the most powerful political machines in Hudson County history. From the late 19th century to the last decades of the 20th century, the embroidery and lace manufacturing industry was the dominant business in Union City. Although all but gone, the impact that the embroidery industry had on the development of the city is not forgotten. A banner stretches across an overpass in Union City above the New Jersey 495 roadway. It proclaims Union City, the home of the American embroidery industry. Adopted in 1975, the Shifley embroidery symbol is featured on the Union City seal. The embroidery business, which had existed in West Hoboken and Union Hill since the 1860s, was run by skilled Swiss, German, Italian, and French artisans. Embroidery at that time, the mid-19th century, was all done by hand or manually operated machines. It wasn't until the early 1870s that Isaac Robley of Switzerland invented the first practical Shifley embroidery machine. This machine was based on the principles of the newly invented sewing machine. The shuttle itself looks similar to the hull of a sailboat. Shifley means little boat in the Swiss dialect of the German language, so his machine came to be known as the Shifley machine. The machine, powered by electricity, allowed for a mass production of fine embroidered silks. Dr. Robert Reiner of Weehawken, a German immigrant who came to America in 1903, was the person most responsible for bringing the Shifley embroidery industry to Union City.
Embroidery played a major role in Union City. I knew over the years family members, close friends, and community members who were very active in the embroidery. In fact, the embroidery was a big attraction to many immigrants who called Union City home.
Many factors made Union City the ideal place for the embroidery industry. First was its location, directly across the Hudson River from New York City and its garment district. Second was the solid bedrock of the palisades, which the 5-ton to 8-ton machines were anchored by 20-foot shafts in order to keep the needles from vibrating. Third, the bustling ship ports and railroads on both sides of the Hudson River. That until the 1950s were the main ways to transport goods across the country and overseas. Fourth was the large labor force of skilled and unskilled workers employed by the silk mills.
Most of the people who immigrated from Germany, Switzerland, Austria, they were all skilled in that art. And they all came here, settled here, got the machinery, which came from overseas, and they all just started the embroidery industry here. This was the embroidery capital of the world.
They all found employment in the silk mills of Union City, giving them the opportunity to succeed in America. Stagecoaches were the first mode of transportation in Union City. No time schedule was observed, as the coaches were often buried axle deep in the muddy roads and ran at the driver's convenience. In 1859, Nicholas Goles conceived the idea of converting the stage line into a horse railroad. It wasn't until the 1880s that trolley cars began to be operated by electricity, and by the late 1890s this would include the trolleys in Hudson County.
And we used to take the trolley car from Union City, and then it was elevated. That one was elevated. You could go and pay it, and then we'd go back.
We used to jump on the back of it, and when we had fun, we pulled the wire, and the trolley car stopped.
You know, if you were to go to Bergenline Avenue, dig up Bergenline Avenue, I think the tracks are still there. So a big change. I had a trolley car. Now you don't have trolley cars anymore.
In August 1949, due to the competition from bus companies and traffic congestion, the trolley car lines closed. Regretfully, almost all the trolley cars were turned into scrap metal.
Trolleys, you know, sometimes things are old but become new again.
The trolleys interchanged routes at the transfer station on Summit Avenue and Patterson Plank Road. The area was a mecca for nightclubs, bars, and diners.
Transfer station was a pretty busy place.
We had a bar on every block.
You got soldiers and sailors got on off duty. They go to the clubs, have a few drinks.
My father would tell me when he was younger, in his early years as developing into a man, that would be the place to go to with his friends in the transfer station.
Each club had a colorful name and reputation. Places like the Swing Club, the French Quarter, the Rag Doll, the Heidi Ho, and Molinary's lined the streets from Summit Avenue to Kennedy Boulevard, known then as Hudson Boulevard. People from all over came to enjoy the nightlife. One of the hallmarks of this area was a proliferation of live music. Many acts that played here went on to great fame. The Four Seasons, Don Rickles, Eddie Rabbit, and Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. Still others would only be remembered fondly by regular transfer station patrons.
You have to understand, Union City at that time had more bars in it than any city in the whole world. If you lived on the East Coast, everybody knew Union City, the burlesque, and the transfer station.
By the 1990s, the area evolved and the venues closed. All that remains now are fond memories.
Well, the Lincoln Tunnel, I believe they started construction around 1934. I believe it was completed in 1937, and it was only 2 tubes.
Now, Sip Street, like I say, is just 1 block north of 31st Street. That's the marginal highway north. That's where the Lincoln Tunnel that passes coming off Route 3 off exit 16. You come along there to go to the Lincoln Tunnel.
The Lincoln Tunnel is a 1.5-mile long tunnel under the Hudson River connecting New Jersey and New York City. With a traffic flow of approximately 21 million vehicles annually, it is the busiest vehicular tunnel in the world. It was designed by Ole Singstad, with construction of the first of its 3 tubes beginning in 1934 and completed in 1937. At the time, it was deemed an engineering marvel. The second tube opened in 1945 and a third tube in 1957. A large area of Union City, mostly residential, was acquired for the construction of the main lower highway and the parallel upper roads and overpasses. As a result of this project, the city lost many of its valuable ratables and a considerable portion of its population was displaced. Initially, the town fathers believed that the tunnel and its approaches would be of benefit to the city. However, this did not prove to be so as traffic just sped by in and out of Manhattan. In spite of this setback in our city's history, now in the 21st century, being the gateway to New York City has made Union City a place people want to come to and to reside. Bergenline Avenue, known as the Miracle Mile, the longest stretch of commercial storefronts in the U.S., was and continues to be the heart of the city. Abraham Birnbaum established the first dry goods store on Bergenline and 34th Street in 1872. Some months later, Arendt Holthausen opened a small store on Bergenline Avenue and 35th Street. This store would become the famous Holthausen's Department Store, a shopping destination for over 100 years. Some stores of the past live in our memories: Mr. Nick, David Burr, and Davis Toy Store. With the arrival of Cuban immigrants in the 50s and 60s, Bergenline Avenue grew and flourished.
Cuban people coming to Union City in the 60s and the 70s reinvented and re-energized Bergenline Avenue, and it's still. You walk up, their stores are open, you know.
Today you can walk down the avenue and find just about every kind of ethnic food you'd like. It is as diverse as the city itself.
Daniel Burmis Jr. was the son of Daniel Burmis, the famous brewer, and he was the president of the First National Bank of Union City. The First National Bank of Union City was able to print its own money and had that listed on each bill.
Banknotes were a form of money issued by local authorized banks used to redeem a credit. It is a great testament to the importance of Union Hill and West Hoboken in business and finance that each town had a national bank that issued their own currency in the form of banknotes. Union City has many wonderful structures and architecture. Some of the designs are colorful and eclectic. To enjoy, all you have to do is look up. The city has 16 public schools and several private and parochial schools.
We have some older buildings, some older schools that we have retrofitted with modern technology.
The oldest is Jefferson School, built circa 1870. Sarah A. Gilmore School was named after a teacher and a principal whose career in West Hoboken lasted an incredible span of almost 40 years. It is worth noting that Sarah Gilmore served as school principal at a time when most appointees to that position were men.
Sarah Gilmore School, which is one of our oldest schools, is now again being refurbished with the latest technology, and will have an addition to the school.
The Robert Waters School was named in memory of a man who built the West Hoboken school system. Robert Waters was an author and educator and supervising principal of the West Hoboken public school system. During his tenure, the district ranked among the best in the state.
We have built over the last few years 7 new schools, and there are more schools planned for the future.
In recent years, the improvements in facilities, the quality of programs, and the level of education as a whole has made the district a role model. The district has received numerous awards in recognition for its innovative programs and services and substantial educational achievements. It has received praise from former President Bill Clinton, former Vice President Al Gore, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CBS 60 Minutes, New Jersey Department of Education, United States Department of Education, and from the George Lucas Educational Foundation. Frank and Irma Chip Hobold, Union City residents and Olympic athletes, were among the first married couples to compete together in the Olympics. Frank was a 3-time Olympian who won silver and bronze medals and was the captain of the 1936 Olympic gymnastic team. Irma was among the first women to ever compete in the Olympics for the USA. Their history will forever be intertwined with the Swiss Turnverein of Union City, a gymnasium where numerous Olympic athletes trained, which was located at 23rd and West Street. Other notable Olympians to emerge from the Swiss Turnverein were Frank Comiskey, Al Joachim, Herman Witzig, Ada Lunardoni, and Frank Holder. The Olympic legacy continues in Union City, represented by Otis Davis, who works for the Union City Board of Education and is a wonderful student mentor. Otis was a double gold medal winner in the Rome Olympics of 1960. He was the first man to break the coveted 45-second barrier in the 400 meters and anchored the 4x400 meter relay team to victory with both events in world record time. An interesting and sometimes urban legend-like story is that of Teamsters Local 560, located at 707 Summit Avenue, Union City. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters, IBT, is America's largest and most diverse union. Founded in 1903, the Teamsters today have nearly 1,900 affiliates throughout the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico, with 1.4 million members. Known primarily as the champion of freight drivers and warehouse workers, the Teamsters have organized workers in virtually every occupation imaginable. From the union's earliest days, corruption and the infiltration of Teamster locals by organized crime was a problem. One of the most notorious of these was said to be the Teamster Local 560. It has been said that it was run for many years by mobsters of the Genovese crime family who had looted pensions and welfare funds, made a mockery of union meetings and elections, and crushed members' dissent with threats and reprisals. The union had once been a plaything of Anthony Provenzano, also known as Tony Pro, a vice president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, with his longtime base of power, the 13,000-member Local 560, with its headquarters in Union City. Provenzano, a mafia don convicted of murder and extortion, had been linked to the 1975 death of the Teamster president James R. Hoffa. It has been reported that he was one of the last two people seen with Hoffa before Hoffa's disappearance.
In public, especially at election times, Tony Pro projected the image of the popular union leader, a humble truck driver who had made it to the top of the Teamsters. Provenzano's supporters in Local 560 felt they shared his glory as a Teamster vice president. But Tony Pro did not take the job to serve their interests. He exploited what was the biggest local in the union, not for the truckers of New Jersey, but for his mafia family. Tony Pro was Jimmy Hoffa's closest ally. Both men profited from the union's remarkable growth.
My friends, the Teamsters is a strong and powerful union. In the last decade, our members has tripled. Through the leadership of our General President, James R. Hoffa, and its Executive Board. We represent approximately 2 million American citizens.
Provenzano played the respectable union leader, but the real Tony Pro was known only to men like Ralph Picardo, a mafioso who's now a government informer. In fear of his life, Picardo agreed to talk only if he were heavily disguised. He came to know Provenzano only too well.
Tony was a ruthless, self-educated, cunning schizophrenic. He always treated ambitious people, whether the ambition was directed for his benefit or not, as people that were trying to take over his power, his domain. He had them killed. And in 2 cases, he had his rivals or potential rivals killed.
Provenzano died in prison in 1988. The United States Justice and Labor Departments and federal state investigators acknowledged that Local 560 was once one of the most corrupt labor unions in the country and the first to be placed under a federal trusteeship. Several major breweries called Union City home. Hudson County Consumers Brewing Company, the Burmis Brewery, and the William Peter Brewing Company were all incredibly prosperous.
The brewery was the largest brewery in Hudson County with an output of 200,000 barrels of beer a year. It closed in approximately 1906 after the death of Mrs. Burmis.
The office of the William Peter Brewing Company became the Italian Community Center, a hugely popular spot that hosted many social events well into the 1980s. Directly across the street at 3312 Hudson Avenue was the also popular Swiss Townhouse restaurant. Union City is the most densely populated city in the United States. It can be considered a most important location due to its proximity to the capital of the world, New York City. It is a city of great progress, with an eye on both its past and its future. Union City is an eclectic town, with an interesting array of people and places making it singularly unique. Handmade cigars by old Cuban men, Dominican tailors, domino competitions in the park, a walk of fame, street tropical fruit vendors, Bergenline Avenue with its 99-cent stores adjacent to nationally recognized chains, state-of-the-art schools and sports facilities, a historic theater and a new state-of-the-art performing arts center. Historic libraries turned into museums and new libraries with the latest technologies, religious services of just about every denomination from Santeria to Catholicism to Judaism. The city is an ever-changing, harmonious community.
I've always lived in Union City.
I love the city.
And I remember knowing your neighbor and playing together, and there were a bunch of kids that knew each other, and you had to come inside and have dinner at 6 o'clock, and everyone watching for each other, neighbors knowing each other.
I love the city. I wouldn't live anywhere else, whether I was the mayor or wasn't the mayor. This is a great city of hardworking people. I think Union City is the greatest city in America. Not only the people, I think the architecture in Union City, I think the history of this city is so great, going back to the days of the embroidery, and so many different ethnic groups that have made Union City their home, starting off in Union City, getting their start here, whether they relocated at some point, but Union City being a melting pot as it is today, and that's what makes me so proud to be the mayor.
I've loved the diversity of Union City.
I love Union City. I've lived here so many years. It's my home.
And I moved to the house I lived in right now when I was 80 years ago. So I'm in my same house for 80 years in Union City.
I'm proud to say I'm from Union City.
Union City, USA, is a great city and a great place to live.
Union City, with its rich history and present renaissance, looks brightly and excitingly into the future. It is a wonderful place to live, work, and visit. We sincerely hope viewers enjoy this film for many generations to come.